And we are live.
What was?
Oh, it's gone.
That might have been my phone making a noise.
I don't know what it was.
Was that weird ching like that?
Yeah, and then a load of rumbling noises.
I didn't pick
Oh,
that.
it's gone now. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. Oh, that might have been the dog actually, because my mic's. I just realised my microphone's like completely in the wrong.
Anyway,
yeah.
Welcome everybody to our regular Tuesday Tat Chat. Number, whatever I said it was in the title, 107 or something crazy.
It's got to be something like that, definitely.
Yeah. Lots of people popping in. Already got 63 going up by the second. So welcome everybody. As you can see by the title, we're going to have a bit of a chat about buying mega halls, basically, and the positives of doing that and the negative side of it, because it's not all roses. I was just saying, just before we went live, I'm in the overwhelmed part of the kind of process right now, dealing with this. So that's what we're going to chat about for the next hour. Let me just dip in the chat. How are you, by the way, Zahir? Sorry, I'm being rude and not saying.
No, not at all, not at all. No, I'm kind of a bit just shocked getting a good look at the scene behind you there.
I've just spent, for the last hour or so, it took me to just move the car mats into the living room, spread them out and work out how many of each I've got. That took no more than an hour, probably 2 hours, just to get my head around how many of each model I've got. It's just so...
I mean, I was just mentioning to you, obviously we'll get into it in a bit because I'm sure you've got a few hellos to say in the chat. Chat's filling up nicely. So thank you everyone for joining us. But I was just mentioning to you, wasn't I, that what you've got there is very different in a way to, I think, what we've got, even though we've spent probably a similar amount of money. In actual fact, I think we've spent a lot more. We've gotten a lot less this time, whereas last time it was kind of, we had that overwhelming feeling of taking up so much room. It was unbelievable. Last time was a lot bigger in terms of units, like in terms of...
I think you're going back to the previous RC hall. Yours was overwhelming in numbers.
Yeah,
this has a bit of that, but it's more the bulk, because to get to anything or to list anything or to sort anything out, you need more space to spread it out. I've just filled this room, and it's like it's dawning on me that I have no space to really sort it and do it properly. So anyway, but yeah, we'll get into that as we go. Gary was first in. Southwest Sellers says, good evening, fellow Tatsters. So welcome, Gary. Bumcrack Picker, Chelsea. Robin is in there. He says, yeah, live show. Home from work in the US, snow day in CT. CT, what's that, Connecticut?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Maybe. So welcome.
Gary also says standard waiting for Z. Oh, that's because I just read your comment. Yeah, it's just dropping me in it there.
I was going to go live, and I thought I'd better say we are on the case. I was just waiting for you. And just as I wrote it, you appeared.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Timing.
So a few more quick hellos. Indie Chick, welcome. Stu Mandry. Heather's in there. Hi, Heather. That's the Treasure Pirate.
Yep.
So yeah, welcome everyone. Those of you who haven't been following either of us recently may not be aware, I have bought another huge haul of stuff, as has Zahir. So we're both kind of in the throes of dealing with another huge purchase.
We're going to be putting a video out about it, explaining like what we picked up in a bit more detail. We've not really mentioned it much. It's just getting your head around it in a way. It's because you have to get your own head around it sometimes, and I've found it. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge topic in itself actually, because we talk about sourcing quite often, don't we? And sourcing is a topic, like different ways to source, and then you realize that there's so many rabbit holes within each thing, because we often talk about, you can source by going to charity shops, auctions, etc., but you sometimes forget that within each of those methods, I suppose, if you want to put it that way, there's like, you could write like so much about it. I mean, you could really get in depth about it or something if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, I think every style of sourcing or every method has a benefit and also potentially negatives. And certainly dealing with stuff on this volume, really polarizes those things. And I was going to say, if we start with some of the negatives, because I'm in the middle of dealing with some of those, it is absolutely overwhelming to the point where I'm at that point where I'm sure you've been there with your first tool, certainly, where you just like, I almost can't start because it's like, where do I begin? How do I begin? What do I start with? And then more so with ours than yours is the volume, as I was just saying. And that is a huge, I mean, we've dealt with hauls before, but this is the largest in volume by far. I mean, I mean, when we filled that van load up about a year and a bit ago now, this is probably twice that size. And we're struggling right now to cope.
It is a massive undertaking. I mean, like when we got the the RC haul last year from down south, the RC model kits and whatever, we did literally fill up a long transit van, and we even had to leave a box of stuff behind, but we were happy to because we didn't want it. And when we first got everything in the house, we did actually put a little video up with literally like a clip where Steve Hicksey was sat on the sofa with his broken leg, and I just panned the living room, and it was packed. And a lot of that stuff was just like really bulky, kind of, the wings and things of planes and things like that. And yeah, your first getting started, like you said, it's really difficult. I mean, Rebecca, for example, is at the best of times. She's, she likes the house a certain way. Just talking from a logistical point of view, like people are like that, aren't they? They're particular about, how they keep things, and then suddenly you bring in an abnormal amount of inventory, which is really more suited to like a warehouse or or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a number of people have said to me when they've seen the videos, we put out a couple of vlogs, and there's another one coming tomorrow, which I had planned to go out yesterday, and I said it would be up. So apologies for that. Just haven't had a minute to edit. This is what my life's like at the minute. It's just chaos. But many people have said, you need a van, Nick. And we really did. For the scale of this, we were messing about with cars, and thankfully Tom came with his car and that helped. But we really needed a van to do this sensibly, and we really needed storage. We're not really set up for a haul on this kind of scale, to be perfectly honest, and we're aware of that. But we're the kind of people that just go for it and worry about the consequences later. So that's what happened. But yeah,
it is. I mean, like talking about being set up for things, it's definitely something that comes into your mind when you pick up something that size. You do think, oh, maybe we should have a van, because like yourself, we just have a regular car and it does us fine, 99% of the times. So the way we figured it is, if we ever do come across a haul, when it makes more sense just to hire a van and do things that way. But you were able to get it done in the end, weren't you, without a van? So it's, that's like a potential 200-300 quid saved right there.
Yeah, we certainly saved the money, but it was a lot of faffing about.
Yeah,
I just read Karen Nocraft says, definitely decided I like mass sourcing. For example, spending a whole day sourcing enough for the week, but would hate your scale, as in something on this scale. This definitely isn't for everyone. I wouldn't recommend necessarily jumping in like this unless you, I mean, we're quite lucky because we have this amount of space and a loft and the back office, and we're struggling to cope. So we almost bit off more than we could chew, for sure. And then Brian says, I'm sitting in sunny California watching staff unload 2 semi-trucks of stock. Buying in bulk, eh? Yeah, that's another scale. Oh, Brian, I need to chat to you about the Disney passes again. So yeah, so my list of negative, the first one, if you're going to try and perhaps buy at auction or do clearance or buy a haul on any of this sort of scale, the big negatives are you're going to have storage, and that may mean renting storage or dedicating X amount of space in your home to it. We've covered the fact that it's overwhelming initially, and I'm going to be in that state for a few weeks, I think.
And where to start?
I was going to say the next big negative, well, it's not necessarily a negative, but it's something you really have to get on top of, is the organization of it. I mean, we're going to have potentially 1,000 different product lines here, and I think yours was even a similar scale with car parts.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything gets magnified when you do, when you bring in an inventory of that size. Like, you mentioned actually on your Sunday chat I was watching earlier, and you were like, we'll learn as we go along. And what you said about you're going to try to get stuff listed and then add quantity as you go along, that's almost inevitable, because we thought to ourselves, well, what other way is there of getting this stuff listed? Because either you literally unload every item you've got into a huge pile and sort it from the beginning to get your quantities right, which is just impossible, or you go through it chunk by chunk. Like, for example, if it's packed in boxes, you just deal with boxes at a time, and you will find that you'll come across stuff that you've already listed, and then you can obviously amend it. But organization is huge. I mean, like, the first few hundred listings that I did by myself, the way I've stored the stock is such a pain in the backside. I can't tell you. I've made such a rod for my back. It's unbelievable, because of my lack of common sense, I suppose, would probably be the most accurate thing to say. Just being honest, like, because I've never had to do it. My common sense just wasn't there. And the way I've organized it is just a pain. It's fine in terms of the eBay side of things. And I know where stuff is, but the way I've stored it in crates is just rubbish.
But that's
And then Rebecca came along
with experience, because if you you'd know if you did this again how to organize that. And
well, that's the thing. Yeah, Beck came along and she did it from like, like, I think luckily I only did like 3 or 4 crates worth. And then she just made a subtle change in how the stuff was stored in the boxes, like within each box. It was compartmentalized in like separate bags within each box, for rather than one bag per item. She had it so it was like multiple items in bags, so there's fewer things to go through to find stuff, and it's just made everything like so much easier, just made it so much more dealable. And it was such a simple change, and I was I'm still kicking myself out how I could not think of that, but I didn't.
Well, that's it. That's the key, and that's learning as you go. And I think we're going to have to just kind of come up with things as we go. The trouble is, as you can see, our shelves are already full. So as we go and we list, we've got to make space, very organized, methodical space with, shelf numbers and what have you. Because the other thing with this, and probably very similar to your car parts, is loads of very similar items. But one air filter does not fit every car, and if you send out the wrong ones, that's your profit gone, because you've got to then
touch wood, we've not had one lost item yet, and I don't want to cause it, but we've not had one lost item or one mistake when it comes to the RC stuff, which is pretty amazing. Incredible when we're dealing with, I think, as it stands, we must have close to 3,000 separate units list, like 3,000 physical items of stock are now listed when it comes to just the parts, across the different brands and whatnot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's mad. It really is. But yeah, the organization is humongous. Definitely.
I was just looking in the chat. Chloe's asked, did any neighbours rent a garage? I think she's referring to the fact that I was going to ask around to see if I could just rent a neighbour's garage. That was when I was still hoping to move some of the antique racking. It turned out I've just left that. I went down today and I tried to take some apart. This stuff has been in situ for potentially like 80 years, and they were bolted together. These things were built like tanks for a start, and then these bolts that held them together, and there were like hundreds on each rack, were just rusted solid. I took off about 5 bolts on one side that had about like 50 bolts on it. That took me about 15 minutes to half an hour, and I thought, this isn't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And everything fell through. We're trying to sell it to somebody in situ and get them to take it away. The auction house just weren't playing ball with me to try and take them all there and put them straight in the auction. So I've left it and moved on. And I feel quite relieved, oddly. And now I can concentrate on the car parts. We never factored in the value of the racks anyway. We were just buying the parts. So,
that would have been nice on top. But yeah, you can't have everything. I mean, like, it's kind of like when you guys were talking about the lots that you missed out on, and you said that you kind of wanted to stop. You wanted to stop yourself from feeling like you've missed out, because in actual fact, what you guys have gotten is insane as it stands, right? I mean, it's just
Yeah, we're trying to focus on how well we've done, not what
Yeah.
we could have
What
made
you
on
missed,
the
yeah.
racks, what we could have made on
Could,
that job, all of the
yeah.
brake parts. It's like you have to be positive about what you've got, and we've done really well out of this. We got it so cheap, so. And if we'd have had much more volume, would we really have wanted it? You've got to be careful what you
Exactly.
wish for
Exactly.
sometimes. Let's take a few more bits in the chat. Karen saying again there, 2-bed flat here, isn't enough room. And if I can't lock away will drive me crazy, I think. Yeah, exactly. I mean, as Zahir was saying, it can very quickly encroach on your living space. I mean, I filled our living room up with car mats earlier just to work out what I had. Half of them are still there. Andrew's going to come home and just walk in the living room covered in different car mats for Hyundais.
It has to happen. I mean, we've almost permanently given up a bit of dining room space now. Where the where the computer used to be, out by the opposite, the cupboard that used to be behind me, that whole area is now just boxes, because got to put them somewhere, right? I mean, they just have to go somewhere. So
I've just seen a super chat appear.
Yep, Brian.
Yeah, electronic firing squad, known as Brian. Important to remember bundles. You'll have a bunch of cheap items which make the most sense to list as bundles. About 20% of our stock goes that way. Yeah, I think a lot of our stuff is going to go. I was looking earlier at the consumables that I shared in the Sunday live show, and these, I'm just going to lock them up because people do sell them individually, these little like pocket size ones. But it's not really worth the time. I would be much happy to sell like a crate of those, or all 20 or 50 or whatever I've got. And I think they'll sell quicker that way, and then it'll be one listing and gone. Because it's not going to be worth my time trying to get £4 or £5 for that free shipping.
Well, I mean, there's a number of factors that would come into that, won't there? Like, I mean, that's an interesting point. It's a good point you've put out there. If you've got like a crate of those, that's going to be taking up physically quite a bit of space whilst you've got that crate of 50, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if those had been like, I don't know, like small gaskets or like small packets, for example, a la the car parts or like the RC parts, then suddenly your thinking changes, because then you're like, well, it's only a £5, but it will go as a large letter and I've got multiples of them. And the other thing that this has gotten us into, and with the quantity of items, is like, obviously you can do good till cancelled and have the listings rolling on, but we're really seeing benefit of getting people to buy more than one item. So we've got promotion running on all our RC parts, for example, where if you buy one, you don't get anything, obviously, but if you buy two, you get 25% off, just to entice people to buy another item. I mentioned it actually in the sales video I just put out, and it's really started to help, where people are just picking up one extra item, because it's quite easy to choose one extra item, because obviously they might come to your shop for one car mat, but then if they see that they can get other spares for their car and you're offering like a discount on it, they might then just be
that's a great idea.
enticed
It's like a lot of things in sales, it's about giving people that nudge, isn't it? It's putting the thought in their head, oh, because I'm making this purchase, I may as well take advantage of that offer.
But these are things you normally wouldn't be thinking about, so it's literally, I suppose this is a pro and a con together, that you really do have to change how you approach it completely, because normally when you're sourcing your one-off items from your car boots or your charity shops or even auctions, you don't have to think about this at all, do you? Like, because you're picking up such an eclectic mix of items, you might be your one day's listing can look like I don't know, like pottery and clothing, footwear, completely different unrelated items it can be, depending on what you found, because it's pot luck, right? But now you've got to think this completely different way, because you're like, not only have I got tons of the same stock, or the same niche at least, but to kind of then move it.
Yeah, you do. And you're competing, well, certainly with the sort of stuff I've been picking up in this hall, I'm competing against a lot of people. A lot of this is consumable stuff, and you do have to think about it differently, and I'm already thinking about how can I turn this stuff over quick, and how can I move these quick, and what's the best way to market certain things. And like you're saying about bundling up, and yeah, it's all going to come into play.
Yeah, I mean, I think eBay does offer a lot of great tools for sellers, and I think that especially when you've got new items in quantity, that they can come in quite handy. So things like your good till cancelled, and your promotions and things, they can really make a huge difference, and it doesn't always necessarily apply, but in these kind of situations, it most definitely does.
Yeah, I think most of it, certainly anything in volume, will go on good till cancelled, and then we will start messing around with the sales and those stuff. I've never done that before, but it will certainly come into play with this, I think. I was just reading Mir Cameron Ali said, I had a few large hauls from auctions. I always went in the same overwhelming situation and nothing got done. I tend to move everything away and then deal with it in small chunks. Yeah. I mean, I was saying to Andrea earlier, a lot of the bigger, bulkier boxes here, perhaps the more lightweight stuff, it's going to have to go in the loft. I mean, I didn't want to put stuff up there because it's the fear that it will never come down from that black hole that is my loft. But I just need the space. I mean, I can't work in here right now, and you need space. This place is like my brain at the moment, just complete mess, and I need some space. So I think I'm going to have to move a lot of it away. And a lot of this, I've still got some of the Christmas RA that I've been buying up in the sales. That's going to all have to go away.
Wow.
Just to make space to start putting the stuff as I list it.
Space is such a huge thing. I mean, it like you said, like your workspace gets completely, destroyed. I mean, it's very different. It's very, very different to
it's crucial because packaging yesterday, before I could start packaging, I spent ages just to clear the space. And even then, everything's in a mess. Nothing's where it should be. My packaging took like 3 times as long as it normally would, just because I'm in a state of disarray. So it's going to take me a while just to get back to some sort of normality.
Barry says car mats across the living room floor. I suppose it's a different interior design to regular carpet.
Yeah. Our house smells of new car because of the car mats. They've got that new car smell. It's great.
Electronic Firing Squad actually said, Brian says, remember to break up promotions though. Running a near constant sale or other type of promotion gets stale and doesn't help your visibility. Let the promo end, wait for a bit, start up again. That's a good point as well. Yeah, so that it's not constantly.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, also you'll be able to do your markdowns as well with good till cancelled. So, every 14 days.
Richard Hale says in there, my last big haul was 20 boxes of car manuals and workshop manuals. I sell these all day, every day, so I know what ones to list and not to list. Yeah, you probably saw we got over 100 shop manuals and a massive box somewhere of Haynes manuals, many of which won't hold much value, but we've got those.
By the way, I wanted to say MAN is also a brand of truck.
Yeah, but it's MANN. On that mystery box, which we still haven't found. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I can't find that box. It just made us laugh at the time. Whatever it said on it, man parts or something.
Man parts.
Man spares.
It could be something really valuable. If it is, truck parts, it could be pretty juicy.
God knows. Right. So moving on, I quickly noted down off the top of my head negatives and positives. I'm still on the kind of negative. Not that it's a negative, just things you'll have to deal with if you do go down this route. The next one, I'll be interested to see what you say about this, would be boredom from the lack of variety. If you are dealing with, from my point of view now, for the next X amount of months, Hyundai car parts, I know I'm going to get bored senseless. And that is an issue. And I'm going to get, itchy feet to want to go out sourcing interesting stuff.
But then you'll know that your house is complete. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, someone actually commented earlier on, I think when we first started, I think it was George Ross who said, no more car boot hauls. Mm-hmm. And since I've got to say, like, I can't remember the last time I did a good old fashioned car boot haul. I mean, I did one recently when I really was, at the end of my tether with just listing RC all the time. But it does stop you from doing other things. It is all consuming in a way because of the amount of it and because of how much space it's taking and everything, you're going to be just doing this. You're not going to be doing anything else. And even though you're going to want to go out and source, you'll be then thinking, how can I justify it? Like, you know, seriously, just on a space level, how can I justify bringing home like bags of stuff? And then the only way around that is to say, oh, I'll go and I'll only pick up things that are worth this much, and never quite works out.
That exact discussion already, and as if Andrea and I can go out and just pick up like
just the good stuff. You can't, because you're saying you're leaving stuff on the table, and you know, even if it's because you'll be like, okay, when we last went to the car boot, we said, okay, we have got the £0 to £20 item well and truly sewn up. We do not need any more £0 to £20 items. But of course, when you go to a car boot, that's going to be like 95% of what you see. Yeah. Is zero to isn't it's not like you go there and they're all £50 plus. They're going to be 0 to 20 is where it's all going to be. So then you either have to be so disciplined that you only pick up the most awesome items, you know, which is very difficult to do, or even worse, like in our situation, we've barely gone. We've only been, I think, since July, August, I think we've been to car boot maybe once or twice.
Yep. And it's so hard to, if we do go out, to kind of untrain your brain to pick up all of those sort of bread and butter items that you normally do. Yeah. And to me, I always see it like leaving a tenner on the table, leaving a fiver on the table. And to be honest, we probably will be, because we just won't have the capacity to deal with it.
Yeah.
Until we've got all of this listed and ticking along and racked up and just sat there. I am so looking forward to that point when I got to
in the end. That's the motivation. Yeah, in the end, that's your motivation. I mean, I like RC stuff, and in the main, I've loved listing it, and I still love listing it. And like Rebecca's really good at just getting on with like getting the work done. She sees the profit, and so she's happy with it. But like I enjoy it. But even I got to the point where I had like, you know, a little, you know, part where I was just fed up of it all. But I've overcome that now, and I think that's since Beck took over the organizing side and the drafting side, I've just been loving it. And I'm just, because it's done a lot for us in a lot of ways. Pros and cons, I suppose. Some of these are going to be double edged, because I almost see it as, you know, not going out and sourcing on a Sunday morning can also be seen as a pro.
Absolutely, because you get a line. Sunday mornings back.
Yeah,
you get time with the kids. You get to chill out and go to the pub and have a Sunday lunch, whatever it is. You do get that time back.
Or if you do go, you, like you guys mentioned, you might go just to see whether you can pick some stuff up for a video, or you just go to have a look around. But if you go, you're going to be able to go and make it feel really relaxed. Like you're not going to be going seriously. Oh, I don't know what's happened there. Let's see if I can rejoin. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what's going on. So I see you guys can see me. I think I'm gonna have to see what's happening with Nick. I'll see if I can send him this link again and get him back into the chat. Let's just have a look. We'll see. We'll see. So the stream is still live then. That's unbelievable. Well, I'm not going to go on without Nick because then it's pointless, right? No, Sib, I'm not. If I stand up, I'm not naked from the waist down. Thanks for the comment. Okay. Nick has lost internet. That's so weird. That's really weird. So Nick's just lost internet. Hey, Steve and Steph, how are you guys? The dog is amazing. I feel a bit wrong being on Nick's channel when Nick can't be like on his own channel as his internet's gone. It's a bit weird, that is. I don't understand how like I can still be on the stream, must still be active. I know Peter races 107 chats and still tech. I don't think he forgot to pay his internet. I don't think so. He's gone out for dinner. Keep going, don't worry. It's not about keep going. It's not really a chat when there's just me on my own. Obviously, and you guys, but still. Gonzi, plug all of your eBay stock. We actually Nick's on the phone. Hey mate. I'm still live on your stream. Yeah. Everyone's in the chat. Everyone's in the chat. They're trying to be silly, I think, but they're behaving quite well. Well, I've just sent you the link in the chat. I've sent you like a link to join. So I don't know if it's going to be the same as before, but it says waiting for people to join this video call. And people are telling me to copyright strike you. So like, hello. Oh no, even the phone's not working. Do your best Nick impression. I don't have a Nick impression. I really don't. Do you want 50-50 or phone a friend? 2 more minutes. Well, he's gonna join. He says his internet just went. Well, Dan South internet is usually really good, guys. To be honest, it's like epic. Up here, it's not amazing. Yeah, Nick's got to join his own cat chat. It's pretty crazy. Well, somehow the stream's kept going, so it's pretty good. So this is like an intermission, really. Hey there, Chad. How are you? Nick has vanished. His internet went down, and I'm now just like hanging out on his channel. But yeah, it's a sunspot. No, it's not a sunspot. Bring on Beck, says Sib. Beck is busy. She is busy. I'm not sure what she's doing, but she's busy. On Twitch. I am on Twitch, but I've not streamed on there for like yonks. So it's been absolutely ages. Right. Let me just scroll down to the bottom. Sing a song, says Stephen Moore. And yeah, minor tech difficulty, as people say. I'm just gonna like chill out for a bit and see whether he can join back. I don't know if he can or not. His internet, he said, he's just gone. But it's weird because his account obviously is still active. I just set up Twitch. Chad, you've set up Twitch. Cool. What did you play? I didn't realize you were a gamer.